Hey there, bibliophiles and those raising bibliophiles. Without ratings and warning labels, knowing which books are appropriate for your children to read is like navigating wild terrain without a map and a compass. I don't know about you, but I have been burned more than once handing my child a book that I thought was clean and appropriate for them to read. I'm a fellow mom, educator, reading specialist, and literary enthusiast trying to find great books for my children and yours to read. So if you're looking for a real review from a mom with a biblical worldview, then welcome and enjoy this week's book review. So this week's book review is The Free State of Jax by Jennifer A. Nielsen, and this is her newest middle grade novel that is a departure from much of her historical fiction. The adventure is centered around a 12-year-old Jax Everett and his ambitious attempt to establish his own micronation in an effort to separate from his evil aunt and uncle and cousins. The story opens with Jax declaring his independence and running to the neighboring property to set a raft afloat in a pond that's fed by a hot spring to settle his new nation. With the help of the mysterious Owen O'Keefe, Jack's attempts at his own nation last approximately 5 days before the Grimmets manage to get a hold of him for their own purposes. Before I go much further, I'm going to read just a little bit of the opening of the story to you, just to give you a taste of the writing style and the voice in the story. Chapter 1. My grandma once told me the story of 3 men who escaped from Alcatraz prison. No one had ever escaped before, but these 3 men managed to do it on a homemade raft. No one knows for sure what happened to them afterwards. They died. That's what Grandma always said. Whatever really happened, the story still inspired me. The Grimmets' house wasn't exactly a prison, and Walkenby, Kansas was a long way from San Francisco. But every idea begins somewhere, and it had brought me here. Now, with 20 minutes to escape, failure was not an option, or at least not a good option. Job number 1, escape Dutch's room. Dutch Grimmets was my older cousin. His bedroom looked like it had lost to a tornado, and it smelled like feet. I slept on an inflatable mattress on the floor, although it no longer inflated due to a small hole in the bottom that whistled when I rolled over. I carefully rolled up the mattress and tucked it under one arm as I left. That had taken 2 minutes. I needed to move faster. Job number 2, collect backpack. I was already loaded with clothes, a couple of books, and some food. I hoped there'd be enough food inside to last several weeks, but even if there wasn't, I couldn't risk anyone hearing me open the pantry door. I'd have to make do with what I had. Job number 3, post my Declaration of Independence. This was important because I didn't want anyone getting the wrong idea about me. I wasn't running away. Instead, I was running to. Tomorrow was the beginning of my new life. I signed the bottom of the page and posted it on the bathroom mirror with the help of some well-chewed bubblegum. I stood back to admire my handiwork. Writing all of that had taken a lot of time and a fair amount of copying from the American Declaration of Independence. I hoped the Founding Fathers would understand that I was on a time crunch. Then again, so was the Revolutionary War. And then the story itself, she gives like a cutout kind of like what the sheet of paper was with his declaration. And so I'm going to read that because this just really cracked me up, but I thought this was very clever. When in the course of family events, it becomes necessary for one kid to leave, a basic respect for that family requires him to declare the causes for the separation, reasons available upon request. I hold these truths to be completely obvious, that I have alien rights, that among them are life, liberty, and actual happiness. And when my family is destructive to these rights, the kid has the right to institute his own form of government. It is his duty to throw off the tyranny that has oppressed him. I therefore do declare that I am, and of right ought to be, a free and independent kid, that all connections between me and the Grimmets family is dissolved, and that as free and independent kid, I can act for myself. For the support of this declaration, with a firm hope that you will all just leave me alone, I pledge my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. Signed, Jackson Everett. So that just gives you a little taste of the opening and the narrator's voice. Jax has been orphaned young when his parents died in a boating accident. His grandmother was his guardian and caretaker until Alzheimer's made that no longer possible. Sent basically to live with his next of kin, Jax is in the custody of the Grimmets family, who are described as a mean, disgusting family with 5 of the 6 children known widely in the community for their terrible behavior. Owen O'Keefe is believed by the community to have killed his brother and swindled the whole town that donated to the once dream of creating a hot spring resort to share the healing springs on their property and to drive tourism to the dying town. Unfortunately, Owen's brother went missing the night that they had a fight, and the money and him have not been seen since. So without concrete evidence, though, he's never been arrested, and most of the community pretty much stays clear of him. That is really until Jack shows up on his property claiming eminent domain. Overall, the story is extremely fun and cute as Jax is learning to ask for help and to receive help. It's about building friendships, trusting people despite cruel treatment he's received from the Grimmitz family in the past. And so that's kind of a barrier for him to kind of trust other people. The mystery and the antics really keep the readers hooked to discover if Jax will be successful and what is the reason behind the Grimmitz, basically their insistence on trying to adopt him and getting Jax back. It's clear to readers that something is suspicious, and it is eventually revealed, and that there is a connection back to the Grimmitz family and Owen's missing brother. As a complete spoiler for parents, readers will discover that there was a run-in with Jack's Uncle Clive and Owen's brother Waylon the night of the disappearance. However, Clive didn't kill him, but he did steal his winning lottery ticket. Waylon is found in the storm bunker the night of a tornado strikes, and the climax and revelations of the novel are pretty much flying about. In the end, there's a lot of forgiveness going on, and Jax not only is able to find a family who desires to truly love and care for him, but he also manages to prove Owen's innocence after all, which becomes a driving force for him. There is so much in this story that I absolutely loved. Jennifer Nielsen has always been like one of my go-to for middle grade fiction. However, I just need to make it clear for parents, especially those who are of a biblical worldview and you are looking for books that don't have certain mentions or things in there. I do have to let you know that there is a character in here where they talk about her dads. And so she does have homosexual parents in this story. So if I had to guess, considering that this is not a historical fiction, I wonder if there was a compromise that was kind of forced somewhere between the publisher and Nielsen. Again, I don't know. That's just sort of a speculation. This is published, I believe, with Scholastic, if I remember correctly. Sorry. Yeah, so this is published with Scholastic Press, so maybe there's something to that. But for parents who are looking and being very meticulous about certain things that are presented in books, I do feel like it's important to make you aware that there is one character in the mention of her dad's a couple times. If you go to my website at holdingsteadfastreaders.com, you're going to get some more of those details. I have some quotes mentioned in there that I thought were great, worth pulling out. The one character that I was mentioning about her parents, you're going to see specific mentions and details to that to kind of let you know, like, how do you want to kind of navigate that. The premise of the story is totally cute. The themes and the characters are great. There are many times in this novel that I just literally laughed out loud. Again, but the nature of me doing these reviews is to not only present and hopefully, give you details about some particular books that are out there, new ones, books and series, all of those things, but to also kind of give you those details as a parent to let you know when profanity is appearing, when sexual content is appearing, all of those things. So I'm just trying to make you aware of that information. Parents, obviously, you can do with that what you will, but that is ultimately the aim here, is to equip you as a parent with information so that you know specifically what is in the books as you're deciding what is and is not appropriate for your children to read. I hope that's helpful to you, again, parents, and that you will join me next week for another book review.